Hey guys, Helosis here. Since a lot of the comments in my YouTube videos are about my UI, I thought I'd take the time today to make a quick YouTube video about it, specifically my WeakAuras. There's a lot of different components to my UI, so I figured for now I'd just focus on one add-on at a time. If you guys like this video, I'll be happy to make more videos about some of my other add-ons like LVUI or how I set up my DBM specifically or stuff like that. Just let me know what you guys want to see. I'll be happy to make it. But anyways, for my WeakAuras, if we look, so this group is anything in this box is my set of WeakAuras for my Windwalker. Anything down here is my abilities and my cooldowns. Some of those have little extra things, which I'll explain to in more detail when we look at them. These four right here that sit above my resources, those are just common buffs that I have up all the time or stuff like that. So what you see in my videos most of the time is my hit combo here, and my Mark of the Crane stacks here. And then this is my Touch of Karma Absorb Shield and my Power Strikes, but Power Strikes you don't really tile into, so you never see that one, but it's there anyways, just in case. And then right here I have Trinket procs, and right here I just have little custom made progress textures instead of the default ones. They count down, or they, you see it, they animate downwards to show the remaining time left on the buffs. Just makes it a little bit nicer than the default ones. Not necessary by any means, but anyways, so those are what my WeakAuras are. Those are, by the way, downloadable in my channel description if you are interested. I do have all these other ones as well that may or may not be complete or refined the same way my Windwalker ones are, but let me know if you want a download link to these ones as well, and I can upload that for you guys. But anyways, looking into, let's look at our standard abilities first. So let's look at Chi Wave. Chi Wave's an easy one. So there's, in general, with two abilities, I make it two different WeakAuras. One is just the constant button that you see when it's off cooldown, which is this ready. All it is it's this. Nothing's happening to it, it's just sitting there. And then the cooldown one is when it's on cooldown, it turns gray, it counts down, fills up. Exciting. WeakAuras will open after combat. Chi Wave was probably a bad idea. Alright, there we go. So, the ready one, you just make this trigger for Chi Wave, set it's not on cooldown, and that's pretty much all you have to do for it. Everything else you can choose as you want. And then for the cooldown one, same trigger, except this time you want it to show on cooldown, and then I hit check desaturate and inverse. Inverse is the direction that it kind of spirals around here, so if you see, it gets darker as it progresses, whereas when you hit inverse it gets lighter as you progresses. That's what I like for things coming off a cooldown. But so that's the basic ability setup. Now if I want to have, for example, my Storm, Earth, and Fire. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different WeakAuras in my Storm, Earth, and Fire. So maxed is pretty much the same as the ready from before. It's not on cooldown, it's ready, it's just sitting there doing nothing. Ready now is instead when it only has one charge. In this case, it's greater than 0 since Storm, Earth, Fire only has 2 charges, it's just one charge. And all this is just inversed. You can see right now it's full, it's at maxed. I hit it, it's on cooldown with one charge, and still colored, but it does have that inverse. Now when we go to cooldown, that's also the same, desaturated on cooldown, but this time charge is equal to 0. So, I mean, you know what that looks like, it's the same as the Chi Wave. Now, also with that, we have the actives. Now, for some of my buffs that are ability bound, specifically cooldowns most of the time, I like to have a little active indicator on them. What that means is that it just shows me, well, what I do with it is I first of all make it appear higher up than the other ones so that it is the most pronounced icon since they're all on top of each other. And then what I do is, I make it a buff. So my trigger is now an aura, with the aura or buff being my Storm, Earth, and Fire. And then I also make a glow. In this action section, you can hit button glow, show, and then you choose it by just click and choose it, click on it. Same thing for hide, button glow, hide, choose, click on it. This will make it just so that when it's active, it'll glow, it'll light up, it'll look all fancy, you'll see it, you won't miss it, and then when it's done, it'll just go back to its normal ways. So if we watch here, it's all messed up now, but it's glowing, it's counting down the time that it's active, not the time on the cooldown, it's active for 5 more seconds, and then once it goes away, it's no longer glowing. Yeah? Let me reload because that was messed up. WeakAuras can be funky sometimes. Now, also in Storm, Earth, and Fire, I have the stacks. So the stacks is just this little number right down here in the bottom left. It's its own text thing. The trigger again is the cooldown progress of Storm, Earth, and Fire, or Storm, Earth, and Fire always. The display on it is the stacks, whereas on all these other ones, it's the progress of the timer. This one's the stacks, and then I just set it up in this position so that it appears nicely in this bottom right corner. That position also works nicely for 2-digit numbers. You just have to make sure you justify it to the right and you anchor it to the right, and then it'll look, or the right side of that number, no matter how many digit it is, will always be in the same spot, which is what I like since it's in the bottom right corner. And then I just have this little extra one for fun, which is the uptime for it, and that's only because I have this Drinking Horn cover legendary. I like to see how long I can keep my Storm, Earth, and Fire up. So this is just the total time that the buff has been up, which if you see when I press it by default is 15. Why is that desaturated now? Oh, because I clicked the button. Okay, there you go. So it's 15, and you can see it goes up to 16, 17, 19. That's just the time that I've had it up, which if you know what the legendary does, it just increases the time based on the chi you spend. Okay, so that's, I think, all there is for abilities. Oh, I do have these extra little things for Serenity, where credits to Babylonius, Rivers, and somebody else who made the Serenity group. I basically took their concept and added a separate cooldown on Fist of Fury, or cooldown WeakAura for Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, and Storm, Earth, and Fire, which makes the text color green when the remaining time left on that ability is good enough for you to use Serenity. If you've seen the Serenity group before, you'll understand what this is. I'll try to show it for you, but so if you see right now, so white number, green number. See how it's green there? That means that if all 3 of these numbers are green, then I am good to go and use Serenity. See how this is green, green, but I'd want this one to be green as well. That's the general gist of it. It's kind of hard to show instantly because it has to line up perfectly. But alright, so green, green, and then we wait till this hits 2 seconds, and it's all green. So now I would use Serenity and go on, and that's just a little minor thing that I've done there to aid in Serenity uses. Again, credits to the Serenity group, WeakAuras guys. They gave me the idea for that and executed it much differently, but I just wanted to implement the same thing into my own UI, so that's the solution I came up with. Now looking at buffs, so typically there's two types of buffs that a class will have. One is stacks, and one is like an uptime for a dot or something. But so let's look at hit combo, for example. All this is it's a trigger of a buff for my hit combo, and it displays the stacks. If I wanted to display the uptime on it, I just make it a %P, and that'll give me the uptime left on my hit combo. But hit combo, I like stacks. For example, Enhancement Shaman. This one is the buff on your Boulder Fist, and as you can see, it's a P. If you have a dot, what you want to do is make sure that when you go to the trigger, you set the unit to target, and then the buff or the aura type to debuff. That'll make it so that the dot on your target works out. For things like my Touch of Karma, I actually have it set to display the Absorb Shield. I found, I don't know, some complicated code from Googling it and put it into this one for the display to show the actual health pool that I'm absorbing with my Karma, which you can see right there. So right now it's absorbing 1.3 million. Yeah. And now, last but not least, we have Trinket. Well, not last but not least, we have, let's do this one first. We have these progress textures. All these are is, instead of icons, they're progress textures. You choose the spell or the image that you want to use from this list. It's all the standard ones that come with WoW. You set the trigger for the buff or whatever it is that procs that progress texture, and then I just make it animate during the duration for it to pulse. If you want to look at these numbers here to show exactly where mine is, normally it shows up in the exact same spot as the Blizzard one, so the left one goes -150 on the X, the right one would go to +150. And let me see if I can show you a top one. So a top one is right here, where it's 150 in the Y, and then 200 by 100, whereas these are 100 by 200. Those will give you the same or about the same as the Blizzard defaults if you want to keep it that way. But so now we can look at Trinket procs. Trinket procs, I make them a little smaller, and off to the side, like right here, is where you'll see them. It's the same thing as buffs up here, except for size. Trigger is the same. Load is whatever, except I make it glow. Button glow show, Trinket, and stop the glow, just like my Storm, Earth, and Fire that I showed you guys. And then I also make it play a sound, which I actually just started doing yesterday, and I already really like it. I can already say that. So if we go punch this dummy bag, hear that beep? That beep is right when that trinket popped up. I'll try to sit here and let it proc again for you. Eventually. It'll eventually proc. It's BTI. Can't take that long. I guess it just doesn't want to. Well, I'll keep punching while we do that. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything that my WeakAuras is. Anything else right here, that's all LVI. This is all LVI. Right down here is, there was the beep. That was the beep for the buff. Okay, we can walk away from that now. So everything else is LVI. With WeakAuras, let me set this back to centered so it's in the right spot. There we go. I also have just one for hero. I'm planning on adding like pots and stuff. Anything else I can think of, maybe like if it innervates on me for a healer or whatever. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I like doing this kind of stuff. And then this is just one that I have for a boss, because why not? You can really do anything you want with WeakAuras. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have for Windwalker WeakAuras. If you guys like me walking through what my add-ons exactly are, I can walk you through my LVI. I can walk you through here. I'll show you what my list of add-ons is. So we got Altaholic. That's just alt stuff. World Quest add-on. That's for logs and stuff. That's for auctions. You don't care about any of this, I'm sure. I don't actually use that. I gotta go fast. It's just my Mythic Plus add-on. Oh, Mask. What Mask is it makes my WeakAuras look like LVI, right? So normally you have your WeakAuras and they kind of have this weird rounded, it's almost like the Blizzard border texture, but with Mask, the specific mask called LVI-esque, it makes them look skinned like LVI. So right now you can see they're kind of like boxed in like this. They have weird borders on them. But when I turn Mask back on, they look nice and in line with everything else in the UI. That's just what that add-on is, which I highly recommend. I don't think a lot of people use it, but I think it's really nice. I actually don't use that often. Yeah, SCADA is what I use for my damage meters, LVI, DBM. If you guys want to see what any of this stuff is, let me know. I'll make a video for it. Also, if you guys want to see any of my other spec UIs, as I play more specs, I'll be making more WeakAura setups for them. It's just as I get to them. I've got all these ones so far, which, I mean, you can tell, like, this one's not complete, or this one's definitely not complete, but stuff like my Blood Decay and my Frost Decay and my Enhanced Shaman, Resto Druid, stuff like that, those are all ready to go. Let me know. I'll do what I can for you guys. WeakAuras are kind of fun for me, so it's whatever. Thanks for watching.